Hello, my dear students. Welcome to class 9. I am Soham Jagad here with you with your very important and interesting subject, that is science. So, let's discuss about science, particularly chapter number 9 and second chapter of our physics part, that is force and laws of motion. The chapter is very interesting, and from the name itself we can know that we are talking about in this chapter, that is force and what causes the force and some important laws about force. Now we know that to describe motion we can describe position of object, velocity of object or acceleration of object, but we don't know that what causes this motion. So here in this chapter we are trying to deal with some question, or will try to understand few question. What kind of question? Let us see. What causes the motion? We know that everything around us are in motion. We are in motion. All universe is in motion. So what causes the motion? Why does speed of an object change with time? I am standing here at this time. Now I am at this place. Now I am at this place, which means I change my position with time. So the question is, why does the speed and position of object change with time? Do all motion require cause? Is it required to cause behind every motion? Or if yes, then what is the nature of cause? Then what is the nature of this cause? Can we find any particular reason behind this motion and variation in speed? So some of this question we are trying to solve, or we are trying to find the answer of this question. For many centuries, motion and cause of motion puzzled scientists and philosophers. Let's take an example. If we take a ball and roll this ball on ground, ball eventually slow down and stop. So from this experiment we can say that rest is the ultimate nature of all object. That is the belief until and unless Galileo Galilei and Newton gives some important result and laws about motion. Which two scientists, or say physicists, Galileo Galilei and Sir Isaac Newton, gives very important result and laws about motion. In our everyday life, we observe that some force are required to stop or to change the motion or velocity of object, or some force are required to obtain motion to this object. So everywhere force is required. For example, if we are going in bicycle, now in traffic or say speed breaker, we have to slow down our bicycle. What we have to do? We have to apply brakes to stop our bicycle or to slow down our bicycle, which means to gain or to change motion, velocity or acceleration, we need some force. So in everyday life, we apply force by our muscular effort. How? We can push the object, we can hit the object, or we can pull the object. Which means by pushing, hitting or pulling, we can apply force on object. Let's take one example. If we are going in a mall or supermarket, so in supermarket or mall we have trolley. Now remember what we do with the trolley? We push the trolley. Now, by pushing the trolley, we apply force on the trolley and the trolley move forward in direction of our pushing force. So that is the example of push. Now, how can we apply force by hitting? Let's take example of cricket. When bowler throws the ball, at that time what batsmen do? Batsmen hit the ball. Batsmen hit the ball. By hitting the ball, velocity of ball will change. Why velocity? Because both direction and speed of ball will change. So it may be increase or it may be decrease, but it will surely change. So in this way we can change the motion of object by hitting it, or we can apply force by hitting. By pulling, let's take example of drawer. In our table we have such drawers. What we do? We pull the drawers, or say doors, we pull the doors. So we can apply force by pulling the object. Push, hit and pull are ways to bring object in motion. Now remember, we have many ways to bring object into motion, or say apply force on object. It can be mechanical, it can be chemical, or it can be any such medium which can apply force on object. But we are here taking simple and everyday life example so we can understood it clearly. Now we know that by pushing, hitting or pulling the object, we can apply force on object. Now let us see what force can do on the object. So force can change magnitude and direction of motion. Now we know that what is magnitude. Magnitude is nothing but the value of force we are applying. So magnitude and direction. What is direction? Direction, we know that some quantity are scalar and some quantity are vector. Now we know that to describe completely some of the property we need both magnitude and direction, such as velocity. So we can change direction by applying force on them. Let's take an example. Let's recall previous example of cricket. Ball is coming towards batsman. What batsman do? Batsman hit the ball. By hitting the ball, what he is doing? Suppose he hit the ball in this direction, which means ball coming like this, which means in this direction now goes into this direction, which means direction changed by force and also change its magnitude. How magnitude? Let's say ball was coming with the speed of 120 km per hour. If player played the ball, it will slow down, or player hit the ball with full force, it will increase velocity of ball. So magnitude of ball will be changed. Change in the direction of motion. We already see what change in direction of motion. Change in the shape and size of object. Change in the shape and size of object by applying force on it. How can we change the shape of object by applying force? Let's say I have a rubber ball and I apply force by both of my hand on this rubber ball. So what will happen? This ball will compress. So by applying force, I change the shape of ball. So we can say that we can change the shape of object by applying force. And size of object. How we can change the size of object by applying force? Let's say I have a spring. So spring have free length of spring at its ideal position. Now we can push it by both the ends, or we can pull it by both the ends. So if we push the spring, spring will compress. So I can say that I reduce the size of spring. If I pull the spring, so I can say that I increase the length of spring. So in this way, I can change shape and size of an object by applying force. Now we have important concept called balanced and unbalanced force. What is the name? Balanced and unbalanced force. Let's first take example. You know about the game tug war? Yes, you do know. So what will happen in this game? We have two participants or two teams. Both the teams apply force on the rope. What we see in this game? We have two teams and both the team try to pull the rope towards his part. So we can see sometimes nobody is moving from his place and both parties or both team applying force, and the middle person is in same position for many times, or say many seconds or minute. What are happening in this time? You can clearly understand the pull force of this side and pull force of this side are same. So the middle person will not go this side or this side. But now let's say this team apply more force. So what will happen? The middle portion goes toward this direction. So we can say that when the middle portion is in between and does not move in any direction, at that time force applied was balanced force. Balanced force means whatever the force apply on the object will not change its position or stay in rest, or if object is moving, object will not change its direction or magnitude but continue its movement in its own way. Let's take another example. I have one table and on the table I have a block, and both sides of the block I have a string. Say I have a X string on right side and Y string on left side. If I apply force on X string, the block will move towards right, and if I applied force on Y string, the block will move towards left. Now observe what will happen. In the initial condition, block is in rest, and when I pull one of the string, whatever it is, right or left, the block is changing its position, or I can say that block came into motion. So that is, we are creating unbalanced force on the object. And if I pull both the strings with same force, X and Y, what do you think? Will block move? Clearly no. Block will not move in any of this direction but stay in the rest. Now observe. In first situation, block is in rest, and also in second situation, which means when we apply same force on both the side, at that time also block is in rest, which means position of block will not change, which means this time we applied balance force. So I hope you understood clearly what is balanced force and what is unbalanced force. So let us see what is definition of balanced and unbalanced force. Let's see balanced force first. The force under whose combined effect there is no change in stationary state or state of motion of body are known as balanced force. Remember, in each and every definition in science, we have some keywords. This keyword should be in our definition to obtain marks in our examination. Let us look in this definition. Balanced force, the force under whose combined effect. Let's see first what is the meaning of this combined effect. Suppose I have one object. This is my object. I can pull it from this side, pull it from this side, pull it from this side, pull it from this side. So it is not necessary that at a particular time only one force is applied on the object. It may be one or more forces. It may be one or more forces apply on the object at same time. So what is combined effect? Combined effect is when we consider all these forces apply on this object, which we can say as combined effect. There is no change in the stationary state. Stationary state, what is stationary state? If this object is like this, which means it is in the rest position, so no change in stationary state, which means if this object in its rest position, it will remain its rest position after applying force also. So that is what no change in stationary state or state of motion of body. What is state of motion? Now let's say this object is moving in this direction. If I applied force in this object, but still this object is moving in this direction with same magnitude, so I can say that I applied balanced force, because not his stationary state or nor his motion state changed after applying force. So I hope now you understood clearly what is balanced force. Now take opposite situation. What is unbalanced force? The force under whose combined effect a stationary body comes into motion. Stationary body comes into motion, or there is a change in velocity of moving object are known as unbalanced force. Let's take example. If I have an object is in rest at this time, but if I applied force on this object start moving in this direction, so I can say that the force applying on this object is unbalanced force. Why unbalanced force? Because the stationary movement is not stationary now, it is moving now. So object change its position, and change in velocity of moving object. Now let's say this object is moving in this direction and I applied force like this. So this object changes direction, and now you know that change in direction or change in magnitude both will be considered as change in velocity. Now understood, it is not necessary that object maintains its motion under continuous application of unbalanced force, which means that if I want to continue the motion of this object, I need to apply some force on this object. That is not necessary. Why that is not necessary? We will see when we see the concept of friction in this session. But if we want object move with uniform velocity, then what we have to do? So for object moves with uniform velocity, we have to do force acting on the object are balanced and no external force on it. Which means if we want object to continue its motion as it is, we should apply force in such a way that the force acting on object are balanced and no external force on it. There should be no any kind of external force. Now there is some terms like system of force and external force, but in this standard we will not look into that depth of this subject. Remember one thing, for uniform velocity force should be balanced. Now it is clear that to move object with uniform velocity, force should be balanced and no external force should be applied on object. But if an unbalanced force acting on the object, then what will happen? If unbalanced force act on the object, there will be a change in either its speed or direction of motion. Which means, what is change in speed or change in motion? That is nothing but change in velocity. Remember the point, what is change in velocity? Change in velocity may be change in its magnitude or its in its direction, or change in both magnitude and direction, that we consider as change in velocity. Now let us understand one interesting phenomena. Let's understand this phenomena by taking an example. If we are going in bicycle, what happen if we stop pedaling? Yes, you know that if we stop pedaling, eventually bicycle will slow down and it will stop at some point of time. Then we have question, why are bicycles stop after stopping pedaling? So here one interesting phenomena comes in the picture, that is friction. So let's understand what is friction. So you can give answer that our bicycle will be stopped after stop pedaling because of friction. Now let's try to understand what is friction. Let's take an example. If some children try to push one heavy box on a rough surface, we have a box like this. On rough surface, and some children are trying to push this box in this direction. What will happen? If force was not sufficient, this box will not move. Yes, this box will not move. But what will happen inside? What is happening inside the box or around the box? When children apply force in this direction, in opposite direction, frictional force trying to resist this force like this. Which means if I apply force in this direction, frictional force will produce in opposite direction. Which means this frictional force opposes this pushing force. But now if I want to move this box in pushing direction, when pushing force will overcome friction force, then only this box will move in this direction. In direction I applied force. So the question is, where this friction force generate? this frictional force generate between the surface of this box and surface on where this box placed, which means if I have a surface like this and box on it, the frictional force will generate on the bottom of the box and top of the surface. In this surface, frictional force will generate. If I try to apply force in this direction, this frictional force will be in opposite direction. If I try to pull this box, the frictional force in this direction, frictional force will in opposite direction. So always frictional force try to oppose the motion of object. Now I hope you understood why our bicycle will stop after stop pedaling. So let's take a closer look to any surface. I say this board is smooth, but is this board actually smooth? No. This board or any smooth surface, any so-called smooth surface you take, and if you keep this surface in microscope, you will see that the surface is not actually smooth, but the surface is like this kind of surface. So this is the surface under microscopic level. So this is the structure of surface on microscopic level. If I place some object on this surface, the object has also surface and the object surface will be like this. And if I place this object on this surface, what will happen? You can see the both teeth-like structure of this surface of object and this surface are intersecting each other, which means if I try to push this box or this object, this surface level is trying to resist this motion. Now I hope you understood how or why friction is generating, because there is no extremely or real smooth surface in actual world. There is no frictionless surface in actual world. We can say that this surface is smooth as compared to road. This surface is rough as compared to glass, but no such surface are available that is actually frictionless. You can say this surface is comparatively smooth than other surface or comparatively rough than other surface, but you cannot find any real surface as frictionless. So I hope what is friction and why friction is taking place between two surfaces is clear to you. Now let us look at another thing called inertia. Now what is inertia? We can say that the common nature of all objects in the world is resist the change. The common nature of all the things in world is to resist the change. Everything in this world try to maintain its steady state or try to maintain its motion as it is. So there is a one tendency all objects have is maintain its motion or maintain its rest state. So what is inertia? The tendency of undisturbed object to stay at rest or to keep moving with same velocity is called inertia.